中国的武器到底发生什么问题？
What's going on with China's weapons? Why do they behave like a son-in-law in front of his father-in-law and mother-in-law, always acting so obedient, not moving, very well-behaved and small? Let me give you an example from within China. In 2025, didn't China purge its generals? The three units hit hardest by the purge were the Navy, the Rocket Force, and their equipment department. What did they find in the equipment department? Isn't the J-20 considered China's most advanced weapon? It's their pride. Well, when they investigated the J-20, they found that they were switching out its parts. The parts that passed inspection were swapped for ones that didn't meet standards. This means they downgraded the equipment. To get around it, they took parts from 3 J-20s that had passed inspection and put them on the next ones in line, and then swapped the non-compliant parts back onto the original planes. That way, all the planes seemed to pass inspection. So, does this mean that when the J-20 is actually put to use, there could be problems? They also found issues with their radar. This was all uncovered by China itself, not us trying to frame them. Their radar was tampered with too. It was modified using commercial parts instead of military-grade components. The price difference between military and commercial parts is huge, and the biggest difference is that when the enemy jams your electronics, one can resist interference and the other can't. When the US conducted operations with 150 fighter jets in Venezuela, they used many electronic warfare aircraft, and those radars that China provided, which were supposed to be the most advanced, immediately became useless. They just stopped working. How could that happen? How could they lose all ability to function? If China can't even trust its own equipment, with parts being swapped out like this, is it really a surprise?
Recently, a Taiwanese expert highlighted the issues of shoddy workmanship and substandard practices within China's military-industrial sector. The expert joked that Chinese weaponry, when facing real challenges, suddenly becomes like an obedient son-in-law. This remark directly exposed the deep-rooted corruption within China's military industry. This also explains why Chinese weapons appear perfect, impressive data, sleek designs, and well-executed propaganda. But once they enter actual combat situations, especially when facing a technologically advanced adversary like the US, their vulnerabilities are exposed. These weapons are optimized for display, not for war. The true combat capabilities of Chinese weapons have always been questioned. When Venezuela introduced China's JY-27A air defense radar, it was almost immediately blinded by high-intensity suppression from U.S. military forces, like the EA-18G Growler. This wasn't due to outdated technology, but because many commercial-grade components were used internally, significantly reducing the radar's ability to resist interference. The J-20, China's pride as the fifth-generation stealth fighter, was dubbed the sea-killing weapon, with the intent to project a deterrence for maritime dominance. However, in real combat, it has become little more than decoration. As early as May 19, 2018, the Indian website IDRW reported that China's most advanced stealth fighter was easily tracked by the Indian Su-31 MKI's regular radar during training in Tibet. India used this as proof that the J-20 posed no threat to the Indian Air Force. Reports have emerged that in recent weapon inspections, China found that the J-20's performance in combat drills and radar tests didn't live up to its promotional claims. Its stealth capabilities were essentially non-existent. This technical flaw not only tarnished the reputation of developer Yang Wei, but also led to a series of purges within the General Equipment Department of the Rocket Force. Researcher Shen Mingshi at Taiwan's Security Institute pointed out that the development and production of the J-20 may involve systemic issues, such as bribery and technology theft. What was promised was not what was delivered. The engine lacked sufficient thrust, leading to the need for a new engine. Additionally, inflated costs and exaggerated performance claims were reported. The deeper issue might lie in the compromises made during the acceptance process. Shen Mingshi pointed to possible bribery, which could have led to lower inspection standards, allowing substandard materials or parts to be passed off as acceptable. Once this sleight of hand is embedded in the supply chain, it could expose the entire system to vulnerabilities. Recently, purges within the Chinese military-industrial sector have reached the military. Yang Wei, known as the father of the J-20, was removed from his post at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. On March 17, 2026, the Chinese Academy of Sciences updated its list of academicians in the Department of Technical Sciences. It removed the name and resume of Yang Wei. He had previously served as the Deputy General Manager of the China Aviation Industry Corporation, also known as AVIC. At 63 years old, Yang Wei, a native of Zhizhong, Sichuan, had worked at AVIC for many years, specializing in the design and development of fighter jets. He was the chief designer for China's J-10 and J-20 fighter jets. He was elected as an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences in 2017. He became a member of the AVIC Party Committee and deputy manager in 2018. He was also an alternate member of the 19th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. The news of his removal has caused a stir in the military community. A military blogger on X said, "Recently, news emerged about the arrest and removal of Zhang Wei, the chief designer of China's J-20. The external information is chaotic, but the general conclusion points to Yang Wei's use of power to deceive higher-ups, alongside the failure of China's proudly touted weapon systems like the J-20 when facing real-world challenges, particularly after the U.S. military strikes on Venezuela and Iran. The scandal not only involves Yang Wei himself, but also the J-20 project he led, which appears to be a major corruption case." Recently, U.S.-based commentator Chen Po-kong revealed that rumors have circulated that CCP leader Xi Jinping personally ordered Yang Wei's arrest. The reason for this is that Yang Wei and his team boasted to Xi Jinping about creating the J-20 stealth fighter. They claimed it could rival the U.S. F-22 and F-35. They also allegedly admitted to copying, stealing, and pirating fighter jet blueprints from the U.S. and Russia in order to create the J-20. They falsely claimed that the aircraft was highly advanced. However, investigations revealed that the J-20 was still in its early stages, lacked true stealth capabilities, and even lacked basic flight safety. It said that many pilots, including young female pilots, were killed during test flights. Chen Po-kong further revealed that Beijing is now in panic. The reason is that multiple incidents involving leaks, defections, and fraud within the Chinese military and defense industries have enraged Xi Jinping, leading him to order large-scale arrests. The result has been a climate of fear within Beijing's tech and military sectors. Some research institute and research personnel have reportedly detained, with rumors suggesting that Xi Jinping ordered agents to round them up in buses. This crackdown is said to be a larger problem of widespread fraud, leaks, and defections, with one case leading to more. As a result, the entire Chinese military and defense sector is reportedly collapsing. It has been confirmed that from March 14th through 18th, at least 5 academicians from both the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Chinese Academy of Engineering were removed from the official website for serious violations of academic ethics, legal offenses, or disciplinary violations. Hong Kong media have described this as an unprecedented anti-corruption storm within China's military-industrial sector. Academicians are facing disastrous consequences. In addition to Yang Wei, 4 other top Chinese military-industrial figures have fallen. 1. Wu Manqing, an expert in air defense radar. He developed radar systems capable of countering stealth aircraft and withstanding electromagnetic interference. These were claimed to detect stealth fighters up to 300 kilometers away, but the data was fabricated. When deployed on the front lines of Venezuela and Iran's air defense, the radar had no effect against U.S. aircraft, which easily destroyed them. 2. Wei Yiying, a missile expert who was responsible for the development of the Hongqi and Dongfeng missile series. Both Venezuela and Iran spent billions of dollars purchasing these advanced missiles, but under the overwhelming U.S. military suppression, not a single missile was fired, and they were all destroyed. 3. Zhao Xiangong, a nuclear physicist. He was linked to China's buried nuclear weapons arsenal in the Qingling Mountains. He led the development of small tactical nuclear bombs, which were procured by Iran and hidden in the Fordow underground nuclear facility 90 meters deep. When the U.S. used a heavy-duty bunker buster bomb to destroy the facility, none of the tactical nuclear bombs detonated, essentially turning them into scrap metal. The fact that the nuclear arsenal was destroyed without detonation is nothing short of miraculous. 4. Liu Guozhi, the commander of the nuclear test base, previously served as the commander and researcher at the Lop-Nor nuclear test base in Xinjiang. In 2016, he became the director of the Central Military Commission's Science and Technology Commission. He was long regarded as a key figure in the Chinese military-industrial research system. Under his leadership, institutions, including those affiliated with the General Equipment Department and the Central Military Commission, were said to be filled with counterfeit materials. In the closed system of China's military-industrial sector, the lack of effective market competition and external oversight makes it easy to form a closed-loop interest chain. Particularly with massive state funding, there are layers of interest transmission, which severely dilutes the funds actually used for research and development. To fill the gap, additional budgets are constantly added, creating a vicious cycle. Chen Po-kong has revealed a massive scandal, suggesting that China's fighter jets may be fake and that even hydrogen bombs and atomic bombs could be counterfeit. These technical experts, in order to pocket research funds, falsify projects and claim success in their development. The key issue is that China's leadership lacks understanding of technology and science, allowing these deceptions to pass unchecked. It is rumored that even China's hydrogen bombs could be fake, which is explosive news. Chen Po-kong believes these rumors are not baseless. First, the history of deception in China is long, including fake doctoral theses, fake academic credentials, and fraudulent scientific research. Even Xi Jinping's doctoral degree from Tsinghua University is alleged to be a fraud. Secondly, the culture within the Communist Party is rooted in copying, plagiarism, and piracy. In the fields of science and technology, as well as military-industrial research, China has often resorted to plagiarism and counterfeiting, producing knockoffs. However, this technological copying can only go so far. The U.S. is well aware of which technologies China has copied, and this has been used against China, making its military-industrial capabilities increasingly embarrassing. Behind this phenomenon lies a deeper logic. China's military-industrial system is largely a political project rather than a technical project. Chinese weapons may crumble when tested in real-world environments. This isn't a technical issue, it's an institutional issue. As long as systemic corruption and political manipulation persist, China's military-industrial system will never truly achieve reliable modernization. In simple terms, China can produce weapons that look advanced, but it cannot produce weapons that are truly combat-ready. Shen Mingshi summarized 4 core issues facing China's military equipment. 1. Technical risks in China's reverse engineering. Some systems are modified after importing Russian technology, with key technologies possibly retained or restricted by the original manufacturers. Additionally, after replacing domestic parts, the overall performance and stability may be affected. 2. Materials quality is insufficiently tested in combat conditions. Some equipment works well in peacetime, but issues arise under high-intensity usage. For example, tanks and artillery exported by China to some Southeast Asian countries have experienced chamber explosions, indicating potential problems with material quality and production oversight. 3. Limited integration capability across military branches. While China has borrowed the U.S. model for joint operations, the sources of its equipment are complex, and the systems lack compatibility. Military reforms in 2016 established a theater command structure, but even so, joint operations still have limited effectiveness in actual combat. 4. Institutional direction affects equipment quality. Shen Mingshi pointed out that some equipment hasn't undergone sufficient combat validation before entering service, with a greater emphasis on meeting upper-level demands and deadlines. For instance, the engine replacement process for the J-20 fighter jet has introduced design compromises, potentially impacting its stealth capabilities, but these issues are difficult to expose without real combat testing. The lessons learned from Venezuela and Iran's battlefields serve as mirrors, amplifying these hidden risks. China's exported radar, missiles, and even nuclear-related systems have failed to perform as advertised under U.S. military electronic warfare and precision strikes. This situation is similar to the infamous performance of Russia's Kinzhal hypersonic missile in Ukraine, where 90% of the missiles were intercepted, and the remaining ones had unclear outcomes. Reportedly, when Russia first launched the Kinzhal, it hit a feed warehouse at a chicken farm in Ukraine. The Kinzhal had been touted for its unique technical performance, but its poor start was allegedly due to a malfunction that caused it to veer off course. However, the difference between hitting a feed warehouse and a munitions depot is huge. To borrow a Chinese saying, it's like using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. But here, that saying doesn't quite apply because it didn't even kill the chicken, just the chicken feed. In a fit of rage, Putin reportedly arrested several missile scientists, and the same situation is playing out in China. It seems that Russia and China are truly kindred spirits in this regard, copying each other's homework. Now, the two countries truly share a community of destiny, both using the same script, invincible in the lab, majestic on the parade ground, but obedient on the battlefield. and then, when things go wrong, arresting people and silencing them afterward.